I'm Eva. I'd like to acknowledge the Larrakia people and recognize their sovereignty to the land and water where we live, work, rest, and play. And I wish to pay respects to the elders, past, present, and future. In my research, I explore how creative therapist pedagogy that deconstruct Western knowledge and integrate indigenous ways of knowing look like. But first, let me share with you a story. I'm new to Darwin and have just moved here in May. And in June, my friend came to visit. She's from the UK and she's an English teacher based in Singapore. During one of our many conversations, she asked, why do you think the indigenous Australians are willfully resistant towards advancement? I was surprised and shocked to hear this from an educated person. My husband was able to articulate my sentiment. He said, why do you think the indigenous people need to adopt the colonizers' way of living when they've already got one of their own? One that has allowed them to thrive for 60,000 years until the recent contact with 500 years ago with European settlers that has culminated in complex, compounded, and intergenerational trauma through policies such as the stolen generation. I'm an art therapist, and in my work, I use different kinds of art materials to work with a wide range of population struggling with mental health issues. Many modern universities are marketing art therapy as a form of psychotherapy that began in the beginning of 20th century when Sigmund Freud introduced the talking cure. However, art, music, songs, drama, and dance have always been a part of indigenous people's sacred ceremonies and has existed and is as old as humankind. I struggle with my late mother's mental illness my entire life, and towards the end of her life when she was recounting her own suffering, I asked her, wouldn't you want to try counseling or therapy? Looking back, I realized I was just like my British friend. In a way, I was asking my mother, why are you willfully resisting getting better by Western methods and approaches? And in asking her that, I've committed so much epistemic violence and assuming the position of an expert. And for the longest time, I couldn't come to terms with her going to Taoist meetings or Buddhist temple to look for some sort of emotional relief. And in my mind, they weren't effective at all. I was an accomplice of the colonizers, thinking that the Western way is normal, better, and superior. Now, I see that she was seeking help in a way that is embodied in her cultural being. She did her best in a way that she knew how. We in the West have cut spirit off from medicine when René Descartes introduced the mind-body dualism in the 17th century, when the sacredness and the spirit is removed from the body and the body is handed over to be studied in medicine. Last week, I was privileged to talk to Dr. Miriam Rose Ungunmir from Dali River, and she introduced the concept of dadiri, a deep listening that we must embrace. And in her presence, I felt this silence that surrounds us as a very nourishing felt sense, and I felt I could breathe slower and speak softer, listen deeper. She talked to me about the spirit baby in all of us that we must connect, that lives in the moment through laughter and play. Dr. Michelle Moss is still designing the creative therapies courses with the guidance of Indigenous elder and healer from Larrakia Nation, Mr. Tony Duwin Lee. And she'll be inviting Aboriginal elders such as Dr. Miriam Rose to teach part of the courses. And I'm keen to journey with Michelle and the Aboriginal elders to see how Indigenous knowledge can inform how we teach and learn about wellness and therapy. Now, I wish to reframe my friend's willful resistance, or better yet, a conscious resistance, as a decolonizing framework. Yes, I am consciously resisting practicing as a therapist who is colonizing, controlling, a know-it-all, resisting towards research that asks for empirical evidences over listening to stories, resisting against Western therapeutic frameworks that doesn't acknowledge spirit as integral to our well-being. And lastly, I wish to ask my British friends a question in a different way in my research. Why are we willfully resisting Indigenous ways of knowing? Why are we obsessed with being busy, with development, with success? What have we lost when we cast out the spirit and the sacred from education as well as from therapy? And what happens when we slow down in academia? when we embrace and practice our knowledge differently. Thank you.